Today we're going to be looking at another kit by a Russian company that I cannot pronounce, specifically their 1/48 scale LA-5. Now there are two versions of this kit, one with a longer cowling piece up here. This is the shorter version, so let's get into it. Now, one thing that immediately strikes me is the crispness of the molds, especially here in the clear parts. They're very nicely done, very clean, and very fine. Put this back in this bag. Now, continue on. Unfortunately, on my sample here, the propeller part sort of broke away from the pour stub, which is unfortunate, as it's going to now have that little bit of a chip that I'll have to clean up. But other than that, it's basically fine. It's very nicely molded. Similarly with here on the underside of the wing, very fine detail in the scribing of the panel lines. Hopefully this will show up on camera. We also get several parts, including the nose cone, and well, as one version of the instrument panel, or one part and the other. You're also given, I don't believe it's on this sprue, but you're given a different version if you want to use some supplied decals on it. But the detail is alright. It could be better though. Now, moving on, here we move into the heart of the kit, with two fuselage halves, part of the upper side of the wing, as well as the cowling and various other odds and ends. Now, one interesting thing about this kit is that, and this is something you typically only see with 1/32 scale aircraft, is that you build a lot of the superstructure around it. As you can see how here on the inside of the fuselage half, you see these slotted parts where the various different parts go, which we'll see on the next sprue. So that is definitely an interesting feature of this kit. But otherwise, detailing is very nicely done on all parts. It's crisp and nicely molded. There is one or two ejector pen marks here that they're noticeable, but they're not noticeable. So you may or may not want to deal with fixing those. Plastic is fairly smooth. It's thin but not thick. Or it's thin, but it's not too thin, not too thick, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry about that. Continue on, we have the rest of the upper side of the wings, as well as the exhaust nozzles. Have a full build for the engine, which is very nicely detailed. I'm impressed with the amount of detailing they put in with regards to just the plastic. Disappointed though by the pilot figure. The detailing is squashed and not very well done. You're given your various control surfaces as separate pieces, which is nice, so you can position them. Detailing in the wheels is nice as well. Definitely a lot of detail right out of the box for this kit. Now, moving on to the decals. Unfortunately, my copy, they have heavily yellowed, so that's something that you will need to be aware of, potentially, as you may have to deal with trying to unyellow them or source separate decals. Now, this is the area in regards to the instruction sheet where this kit so it gives you an idea of just how much work is going to be involved. There is a lot of sub-assemblies a lot of fine details you're going to have to deal with, so this is definitely not a beginner's kit. This is definitely a lot more advanced in terms of the skill needed to basically build this thing up, as you are in a lot of ways building the aircraft up from scratch, almost, as you can see from the various components that you need to put together. Now this is both good and bad. It's good because if you want to, say, open it up and show it being worked on under maintenance, it's great, as you can absolutely go nuts with just out of the box stuff, say for maybe some ground crew figures. It's bad in that since it does complicate the build, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to do it and do it right. And more importantly, you're going to run into obviously issues of making sure you're putting stuff together in the right order, so that everything gets fitted correctly and is properly aligned. In particular, I would say the hardest part is going to be getting all this framing parts together here to line up properly. That's going to be, I would say, the source of the most headaches with this kit. Overall, you're given a total of 3 different paint options and marking options. All 3 look very nice, and yeah. So, what do I think of this kit? I have to say, it's definitely, stay away from this kit if you're a beginner. It is way above a beginner's skill level. I would even say stay away from it if you're a little more advanced builder. This is definitely not a kit you want to, rush into. It's something you're going to have to go very slowly, very carefully, and very methodically in building. That being said, however, it looks like it will build up into an amazing looking model. Definitely one that you can get a lot of detail just out of the box, and with the exception of a couple of things, specifically the instrument panels, you can basically just build it from the box. You don't need to source any aftermarket parts to get it to look amazing. So that was a look at the LA-5 and 1/48 scale. Till next time.